together with my Republican colleagues, we are asking for something that we believe is very necessary for the well-being of the people of the state of New York, especially for those who live in the MTA region. Calling for the resignation of someone is not something that I take lightly, nor do my colleagues. We believe that under these circumstances, it is very warranted. You could tell something about a person by the way they react to criticism, to challenge, to opposition. And sadly, what we have seen from Janno Lieber in the face of criticism and challenge is very disturbing. You heard my colleagues talk about the crime situation on the subways. You know, I first started riding the subway when I attended NYU, and then I held a number of different jobs in Manhattan, hailing from Staten Island. Congestion pricing is wrong for all New Yorkers, but it's especially egregious to those of us who live in the city of New York. You heard from my colleague, and we're so very lucky, and you're going to see a lot from him. We're so very lucky in the state of New York to have him. I remember once I was working at Pete Morrick to get my CPA. And I left from Staten Island. It was a wintry day. I got into the office. A friend of mine that worked there from Long Island. I was disheveled. He said, "What the hell happened to you?" I said, "Well, the train on Staten Island was late. And then the ferry, the winds were really just pushing it to and fro. And then the walk across to the subway, the platform was closed." And I said, "Wait a minute, what are you, Lewis and Clark?" Staten Island is in worse shape than it was with respect to public transportation now. There has been a legacy of neglect from the MTA with respect to servicing, especially the outer regions. Anywhere outside of Manhattan, there is a legacy of neglect. So to tell someone who lives in the city of New York that pays a special, lucky us, New York City income tax on top of the state and the federal tax, to say that now when you want to travel within your own city, you have to pay more. I think it was Senator Rhodes or Senator Rollison mentioned someone, Weber, I think it was. I have a dear friend this morning who had to travel into Manhattan for acute coronary care. As I've just described, public transportation from Staten Island to Manhattan is often not an option. He doesn't make the $400,000 that Janno Lieber makes. This tax that he needs to pay today is a burden that he should not need to suffer, especially given the reason why he is traveling into Manhattan. When we said, and this is what I'm talking about when I say you could tell about a person with respect to how they respond to criticism and challenge. When we all said the crime situation on the subways is not acceptable, as you've heard from my colleagues, and as you heard from him, he said, we were wrong. It's not real. It's a perception. When we said that this tax is insulting, punitive, and offensive to the people of our state, he called us names. He said, you people out there in Staten Island don't care about the environment, you don't care about pollution. When his own agency has shown that this will create more pollution, especially in the outer boroughs. Janno Lieber, sadly, is one of those people who always thinks he is right and the people are wrong. I've learned that when you always think you are right, you are always wrong. What's happening here I think, is a sad state of the reality we live in New York, what we like to call the soft tyranny that New Yorkers face every day. There was an election a couple of months ago. People are waking up, and they're waking up right here in New York as well because they're sick of it. Every single Republican member of the state Senate representing their districts has come to Albany and has said congestion pricing is wrong. If you believe our Senate Democrat colleagues who have made public statements, it would seem that an overwhelming majority of the state Senate believes congestion pricing should go away. I attended a press conference on Staten Island with every single elected official on Staten Island, Republican and Democrat, and every one of us said, repeal congestion pricing. The people of the city of New York, the people of the state of New York, the people out in Long Island have all cried loudly that they do not want congestion pricing. In a democracy, in a free society, that should be enough for folks like Governor Hochul and Janno Lieber to say, our job is to serve the people, let's do something else. But again, Janno Lieber says, we're wrong, and he's right. Somebody made reference to the new year. If you're like me, you watch the Dick Clark show. As we ring in the new year, we have a tradition. The ball comes down, and there's a countdown in Times Square, and there's a countdown in houses across America. That's a countdown to usher in a new year with the hope of happiness and prosperity and good times for the people of our state and our country. A few moments later, a few blocks away, there was another countdown. There was another unveiling. I could not believe my eyes to see Janno Lieber standing in front of a congestion pricing sign with some flimsy piece of paper on it and a happy countdown to announce congestion pricing. Now, it doesn't give me joy to say this or to ask this question. What kind of person celebrates welcoming in a new tax? What kind of person celebrates the fact that families across New York are going to have less money to put food on their table? What kind of person is happy to see the people that he is paid to serve suffer even more under a policy that they don't want? If you ask me, that's a person who is arrogant, who suffers from elitism, and who is not competent to serve the people of the largest transportation system in North America a single day more. It says a lot more, but I'm not going to get into it. But mostly it says that Janno Lieber needs to go. We deserve better leadership. We deserve a better transportation system. We're not getting it under his leadership, and it's time for a change.